Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Second Act Actors. I'm your host, Dr. Janet McMorty, and I was and still am a medical doctor trying to pursue a career in acting. My guest this week is Robert Parson. Robert, or Bob, is a... Wait, we figured this out. He is a first act actor, then he took a 20-year intermission to do instructional and educational design, and now he's back in his second act, acting again. His story is fantastic. He goes into detail about, his first act being acting and falling out of love with it, but then coming right back into it 20 years later, back in love with the craft. I'm so excited for you to hear his story. There is some lag with this issue, especially the video version of the issue. I could fix it obviously in post in the podcast version, but the video has a lag. He lives out in the wilderness. He doesn't. He lives in like the Ottawa region, but there was a weird lag for some reason, so apologies. But again, the story is still there, and his story, is so good. Please enjoy the lovely Robert Parson. Tell me your story.
Well,
tell me your acting story. What brought you into this crazy industry?
Well, I'm a bit different in terms of first act, second act, because really what I did is first act, intermission, and second act.
Ooh, cool.
So, I worked as an actor for about 20 years, from the time I was 20 or something like that onwards. I studied at York. I moved to Montreal and did a lot of theater there, mostly theater, but also some film, some television, some radio. We had a couple of shows that really took off. One show called Balconville by Fenario. We played it in Toronto and Winnipeg and Place des Arts and Ottawa. And then we toured to Great Britain. We played in Bath. You call it Bath. When I was in Bath, as we call it, where is the Bath Theatre? And hey, you mean Bath? The Bath Theatre. Yes, where's the Bath Theatre? And we played in Belfast, and that was amazing. And at the London Old Vic, which was also amazing. So that was a lot of fun. Yeah. And anyway, but by the time we had two kids, and I got I was getting into a rut. I wasn't making enough money to support two kids, and my wife, my part of it, right? And I wasn't enjoying it anymore. And this business, if you're not enjoying it, I don't know what the hell you're doing in it. I mean, it's got to really do something for you inside, because that's where the reward's got to be. And I thought, okay, then go. And that wasn't an overnight decision. It took me 2 or 3 years or whatever to gradually move out. And it was like a divorce. I didn't want to go into a theater for the next 3 or 4 years. It wasn't a mental decision. I just, didn't want to go. And, gradually, things settled down. I went back to school. I went and got a Master of Education and became an instructional designer, which is somebody that creates training and educational courses and stuff like that. And it was good. There was, creativity involved and value to my larger community, if you will. I felt I was doing something that had some value, and I worked for TV Ontario, and then worked at the University of Ottawa helping. There's a department now where they help teachers learn how to teach, because all these wonderful professors have PhDs in their field, but teaching is a different discipline, and you can help people do it better. And then, so anyway, I gradually slowed down, and I retired. And in the last 2 years, I'd been thinking, wow, do you want to go back to acting? And at first it was like, oh, I don't know. And then I said, yes, I do. And for years I've been thinking, well, if you did it again, what would you do differently? And the one thing I thought of, do less. You're doing too much, Parson. Really, it was getting too much. Blah blah. Hate blah blah in life. I don't know why I would like to do it in acting. And then the other thing I thought of is, you got to have fun. This has got to be fun. If it's not fun, if it's not enjoyable, I mean, it's work too. Of course, it's work too, but it's got to have that fun aspect, the enjoyment. And then the last thing it's not maybe the last thing I learned, but the other important thing I learned is I have to, for each audition or anything that I'm doing, I have to have my own criteria for success. In the sense that I have to say, what is it that, aside from be great, just be magnificent. Okay, great. But aside from that, like, what is the one thing? Like, I'm doing this scene tomorrow for an acting workshop. What is the one thing in that, aside from being great, that I want to do? Can I have, just one moment in this one moment of humor? That'd be interesting. See, because it's a very dramatic scene. And the reason I emphasize that for me is that one of the reasons that I felt I had to go was that there was a certain sense of powerlessness. I was feeling like no matter what I do, who knows? Maybe you get it. Maybe you don't. Sometimes you don't do much preparation and you get it. Sometimes you work your buns off and you get nothing. And I have no control. So in this phase, I understand. So, I'm not going to make the decision to hire me. That someone else is going to make that decision. That's okay. But what is it that I can continue holding on to that I have control over? So that I'm not dependent on someone else's decision for how much I am enjoying what I'm doing.
Do you find, clearly that was missing from your first act as an actor?
Yeah.
And so do you find bringing kind of that power back into it, giving yourself some authority over your performance, is that bringing you the joy back, the enjoyment back to being an actor that you found you'd lost, that made you stop first time around?
It's one of the factors that gives me that joy back. Yeah. It's an important one because, to have some control over what you're doing, to not be awaiting someone else's approval, that puts a wall between you and whatever it is that you're doing. It makes a difference, and it's giving me permission to have fun, to try something else, to whatever. Still respectful to whoever's going to be looking at the audition. I understand it's a business. You got to find, Parson is good, but he's too short. He's too tall. He's too young. He's too old. He's too fat. He's too thin for this part. Okay. I'm not going to take it personal this time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it makes a big difference.
What do you think you brought? I think it does, right? And I think it's got to make everything feel more freeing. And then how can it not translate into the work that you're doing? It must feel like there's a big weight just off your shoulders. Because you have a bit of power in this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's for me, anyway, it was a huge weight. And the thing is, it was a huge weight even when I wasn't working. Right? So in between gigs. Why am I in between gigs? Because somebody put me there. Well, no. That's my choice, right? I'm here. And, I can deal with that, them making their choices, if I'm making my own choices too.
When you were in your intermission, as you called it, was there anything that you've brought now into your acting career from that intermission time when you were doing your master's in education and doing the work that you were doing and contributing? Have there been any skills or lessons that you've brought into acting now? Anything transferable?
Well, there's certainly a lot of structure in instructional design. Like, you really are very goal-oriented, and you map out each step to get to that goal, and you can infuse creativity into that. But in terms of the balance between creativity and structure, it has more structure, acting has, so that's still useful for me. What's your objective? Okay, how are you getting to it? Well, I've got to more practice in terms of identifying steps towards achieving an objective, as an educator. And I don't know, it's sort of, it was good to get another perspective of what works and what is important, and great that I'm acting and everything, but there's a whole world out there of a whole bunch of other stuff that is also very important too. So don't take yourself too seriously. Just because there's 500 magazines about actors and none about instructional designers, that's not how you should weigh things.
Yeah, that's such a good point.
It's silly.
When you were in your first act, you did mention you kind of were in a bit of a rut, as you described it.
Yeah.
Was it? I know you said kind of financially, but was there at the end? Yeah. Were there other things that kind of contributed to leaving your career in acting at that time?
No, it was really mostly the lack of enjoyment of fulfillingness. That's a new word. We'll write that down. A lack of fulfillingness. I was one of my last shows anyway was Damsel for a Gorilla that we did in Montreal de Centaure, and then we did at Festival de Théâtre Avignon, so the Avignon Theatre Festival in the south of France, and what an opportunity to spend all summer doing a show with this, internationally renowned festival. And at a certain point, I realized I was looking forward more to sitting having a glass of wine after the show than doing the show. And I got, whoa, that's not the way it should be. So that was a sign. But on the other hand, the summer before that, we did a whole summer out in Prince Edward Island at Confederation Center there, and had a wonderful, wonderful time. And there's some shows that I did that, and I guess more theater than film, that were wonderful to be in. The people that I worked with, the amount of play that we had with each other and building off of each other. I was so lucky to work with people like that. That was magnificent. So, but then it was maybe it was time to go. I had sat in a green room once. We were dubbing. Oh, I got to tell you about the dubbing. But anyway, we were dubbing something, and it was the break, and there was about 4 or 5 actors there that were in their late 40s, 50s, 60s, maybe. Anyway, they're all a gripe session. I should have got that part. I could have got that part if it hadn't been for this. And then. Whoa! No! I don't want to be there. I don't want to be griping in 15 years. If I'm not happy doing this, no one's forcing me to do this, and I don't want to be just sitting around bitching, you know. So that was another thing. But I got to tell you, do you want to hear about the dubbing? This is completely unserious. And it was called Once Upon a Time in the West. And we had dubbed, and we had dubbed for 3 or 4 days different voices. And then they called us back and said, okay, today we're doing the fight scenes. So this type of dubbing, you have the screen in front of you, and on top are the words. And when the words arrive at a certain place, you read them, you speak them. That's how you get the mouth movement and the, oh, how are you? I'm fine, which is easy. It's harder when it goes, how are you? I'm fine. Oh, you should have seen the party last night. And, you know, it keeps on moving so good. Well, they do that, and they spend a lot of time writing it up. Well, for a fight scene, they don't do that. You just watch and do what's on screen. But it was all outside fighting, so we had to be in a sort of a soundproof booth. And there was 5 of us in this thing about the size of 3 telephone booths, not much bigger than that. So we're all just standing there like that. I have just enough room that I can see between these 2 big guys, I can see the screen. And we just numbered off. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Are we ready? And you go, ready. And we'd watch the screen. He'd go, for like hours. Oh, sorry. No, that was yours. Yeah. Okay, let's take that bit. Hours. 2 guys couldn't come back. They lost their voice.
Oh, it'd be
too guttural.
That'd be exhausting.
Yeah, it was funny.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah. Next time you see a fight scene.
I think about that I don't have much experience with voiceover, but I took a voiceover, like a video game voiceover workshop, and that was a lot of it, right? Like learning how to do the fight noises. That is so cool.
Yeah. Use your diaphragm, not your throat.
When I hear either dubbing, every time I hear dubbing or or I watch a video game, anything, I'm like, yeah, somebody is in a booth doing exactly what you were doing, or in your case, 5 people.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
we had fun with that.
Oh my God. Now that you've come back into this industry, is there anything that surprised you or that's changed that you've noticed?
Well, way back in the Neanderthal ages, from when I was first doing this, there was no internet. Very few people ever sent in auditions by videotape. Can you imagine? If you wanted to do that, you had to put your mini camera on a stand, take the thing into your VCR, and then maybe you had editing. Oh my God, thousands of dollars worth of equipment to edit any of it. Then you take your videotape and call the courier who would come and pick it up and send it to LA or wherever you were sending it to. Not many people did it, right?
Yeah.
So, and training, imagine doing, now I'm doing a Zoom workshop with people, the studio is in LA. That's great. There's some actors from LA and New York State, 1 from Toronto, 2 from England. It was wonderful. Couldn't do that. Yeah. But the craft is the same.
Do you have you may have already told me the fun story, but do you have any other fun or funny stories from your time on stage, on set? dubbing Jet Li movies.
Uh-huh. So, you want to hear about the time that I was supposed to get shot and I didn't, or the time they threw me off a submarine?
Oh, I want to know both.
Oh, yeah.
How am I supposed to pick? Both, please.
Okay. We were doing the collected works of Billy the Kid by Michael Onadaatje. You know the Canadian writer, playwright, film script. Did he write that? Anyway, English Patient and all that. And this is a very poetic version of Pat Garrett, Billy the Kid. And in this one, we had guns going off left, right, and center. Shotguns and pistols, and and it was in the dark, so you'd see these big, huge gouts of flame going on over it. And we had a flash photograph that with a big like that and all that. Anyway, there's this one scene where, 10 minutes ago I was one of Billy's gang, but now I'm somebody else. Don't ask me who I am. I asked the director. He says, Bob, don't worry about that. It's just another level of reality. Yeah, okay. Anyway, they've got me in the jail cell. No, sorry. Take it back. I've got them in the jail cell. I'm a sheriff now. That's how come I got confused. You can see I'm still confused. Anyway, I'm the sheriff now. And Billy is there. And somehow he grabs me. He throws me down on the barrel top, because that's what it was. And he grabs my gun and shoves it in my mouth to shoot me. Now, it's not safe to shoot someone in the mouth, even with a blank gun, right? So what we have set up is that there's nothing in this gun. Nothing, zero. But underneath the tabletop, with a wire that goes to a mousetrap at the bottom, and if you pull the ring, it pulls the wire, hits the mousetrap goes and makes a huge, beautiful pow. So we're in the middle of the scene. He grabs me, throws me down, grabs my gun, puts it in my mouth. And he's waiting for my cue to go, okay, I'm ready, because I'm the one who has to go pull the wire, because nobody can see. So I'm going. He said, you got it yet? No. Shit. You got it now? No. Shit. And he goes, bang! That's all you can do. After bang!
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and meanwhile, the other two actors that were supposed to run in were trying to figure out, what the hell's going on? They're supposed to run in after Billy shoots me, and then he hides, and then they run in and they don't see him. Well, they were waiting, didn't figure out what was going on, so they ran in early. And now, all of a sudden, instead of him hiding, he's right there. So now it's time for the slowest draw in the West, because you can't shoot him now. There's 5 more scenes left. Oh, that was fun. And the other one was we were doing a sort of a recruiting film for the armed forces on what's it like to be a submariner, someone who works on submarines. And so anyway, the end. I get the script on my way over there to Halifax. Last minute, often happens that way. You get the script. I'm reading it. I'm finishing the script, and going. And as is the tradition, when the young submariner wins his dolphins, his teammates, his crewmates grab him and throw him overboard. And I'm going. Oh, wait a minute. This is February in Halifax. That doesn't sound like a very good idea. Anyway, I told him, I said, listen, I'll do it, but you got to make sure it's safe, okay? Because I don't. Yeah. Anyway, so on the day, we've already shot for 3 or 4 days and everything. They they got me all suited up. I'm wearing a wetsuit underneath my uniform or whatever. And there's one guy, he's the medic in the downstairs well, downstairs in the boat. And he arrived there at noon. Well, by 4 o'clock, they were waiting for the storm to break. And it wasn't breaking. They were chipping the ice off the deck and trying to get a clear deck, and it wasn't. And this guy who showed up, maybe it was day off, I don't know, but anyway, he was drinking. And by around 4 o'clock, you're an idiot for going out there. You could die from hypothermia from that, if you don't get back out fast enough. So I don't know why you're doing that. Well, thank you for your encouragement and help. But anyway, so finally they bring me up on deck, and they said, "Okay, so this is how we're going to do it, boys. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, and then whoosh, throw them overboard." And the thing is, you got on a ship. A ship is like this, right? So if you fall, you fall in the water. A submarine is like this. So if you fall, you're hitting the hull of the submarine. So you got to make sure that you're far enough away, because you don't want to. Anyway, so they got the cameras all ready. And these are sailors. These are armed forces guys doing it. I was the only actor. It wasn't like me and 8 other actors. I was the actor, and the sailors were going to grab me. Well, one of the things about putting a camera on somebody is sometimes they don't. It can have an effect on them. And part of that is why we're professionals. It has to do. We're ready for that. Well, anyway. These guys got a little bit confused. So they grabbed me, dragged me over to where they're going to throw me in the water. They put me down and start swinging, and I'm hearing 1, 2, 1, 3. Whoa, 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 whoa! Let's all count together, shall we? So that we, let go all at the same time, because I don't want 2 people holding on, half of me going. And anyway, they got it the second or third time, and whoosh, I got off. I went in the water and was able to, they had some rope or whatever, got myself back onto the ship. And I haven't been back in Halifax harbour since then, or been thrown off any other boats either. See, I think it's really important that we work. So I think it's really important to have a teacher and do some of that. And if you're you don't have to be doing it all the time, but if you're having you have some cost issues with doing that all the time, even if you're just working with 1 or 2 or 3 other actors doing a scene, pretend you're auditioning. If you don't have an audition, grab aside a scene that you want to do, and get someone else to be the reader, and you can be a reader for them. But I think it's easy to fall into the non-practice part, and we're ridiculous when you compare to musicians. Who ever heard of a musician that's not practicing 2, 3, 4 hours a day, right? And not just when they're young, they're right throughout their lives. Actors, oh well, I'll show up, I'll do it. Thank you very much. Anyway, for me, I think that makes a huge difference, to be able to practice regularly, try different things out. And the other thing is find a way of doing things that feels right for you. So you do find a teacher, or I don't know, read books that have something that seems real for you. Like I like Sanford Meisner and Stanislavski and all those guys that still talk about being truthful. And I still think that's what I'm aiming to do every time I go and do a scene. You know, I don't need any blah blah unless I'm doing a commercial.
Is there anything that you're looking forward to coming up in this wonderful wintry day?
Well, I have that workshop that I mentioned earlier. Mm-hmm. Tomorrow I'm doing. We have our work is tomorrow, so our next meeting is tomorrow, and I'm doing a scene from Bridges of Madison County.
Lovely.
Do you know that movie?
I do.
Yeah.
Yep.
And yeah. Meryl Streep and Clint Eastwood.
Can't get much better.
And the theme this week, or the challenge this week, was choose a scene that you don't think you'd ever get auditioned for. And as much as I like Clint Eastwood, I don't think anyone would ever, confuse him and me. So that's okay. And, I'm me. I'm not cast as a romantic lead. And I wasn't when I was much younger either. And that's cool. I'm a character actor, whatever. But what am I going to learn by doing a scene of a romantic lead? What am I going to learn from that? What can I bring to it? And one of the things is, I think anyway, is that, well, he may be cast as a romantic lead. Well, he's just acting. Like, he's not trying to be handsome. He's already pretty damn well, anyway, He's just trying to do his part in the same way as any of us doing that scene.
Yeah.
Right? So that was interesting to do. Anyway, yeah, I think that I'm looking forward to. I just had a nice episode on the air last week of Transplant.
Yes.
I was in Season 2, Episode 7. Did you see that?
I haven't seen it, but I've seen the entire first season of Transplant. It's a phenomenal show.
Oh, yeah. It's nice.
Yeah.
So I had a nice part on that aired on Monday, and that was nice to see.
That's awesome.
And then I'm going to keep on, doing auditions and trying to get more work.
Yeah, that's great.
And
awesome.
Just even with these workshops, trying to get better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And not like resting on laurels, right? It's like you were saying, trying to challenge, what you would get cast as, and instead of just doing scenes that are quote unquote easy for you, pushing it a little bit, because that's what's fun, is when you get to push it.
Yeah.
It's terrifying, but it's fun.
I think that's something that I learned is you've got to put in. I've got to put in a lot of work. I'm very good at improvising, so there's a danger for me to just whip it off at the last minute, and so I've learned that that's an illusion. I'm much better if I spend a lot of time working on it. It's subtle, but it's there. Yeah.
It's there.
It's definitely there. So, do the work.
Do the work. That's wise words.
Because, well, it's not just acting, Every job looks easy until I have to do it.
That's so true.
Hey, being a doctor, you just sit in the office, people tell you things, and you write things. Okay, take that. What could be easier than that? Right? Or a surgeon. Oh, I'll cut over there. Oh, yeah. Okay, sew them up. Okay, oh, man.
Piece of cake.
Yeah, even someone digging a ditch. Sorry? Piece of cake, that's right.
Yeah.
Even someone digging a ditch, if they've been doing it for 20 years, there's fluidity in their movements. They know where, and then you try and do it, and at the end of the day, you're sore, and your muscles and all this, and you only got half a ditch done. True with any job, no matter what it is. Mm-hmm. Acting the same thing. Yeah. The better people are at it, the easier it looks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right?
So true.
Man. Yeah. Look at those beautiful dancers.
Mm-hmm.
You watch some of those musicals and it just looks like, I just felt like, and I felt like, come on, you ever tried doing tap dancing or anything like that?
Yeah.
Have you ever tried it?
So I used to Irish dance.
I hope you're good at it.
I was.
Good for you.
Yeah. Probably not very good anymore, but yeah, you're so right? Like you're practicing to make it look easy. Yeah. So true. So true.
I'm smiling. No.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy.
Do you have any final words of wisdom?
I don't know. I think, find your joy in the craft. My one theme, and I thought it was Stanislavski, but it may not be. But it was instructions, perhaps, as find the truth and make it beautiful. And by beautiful, at first I thought, well, that sounds pretty sappy. But by beautiful, it didn't mean pretty. So it could be beauty in a hurricane. What's the beauty of that? What's the beauty of a huge dark storm, of a tsunami? What's the beauty? And this is only in fiction, of course. But what's the beauty of a scene where someone is going to kill somebody? So it's not a beauty of just prettiness. What is the beauty that I have to find within that? So anyway, that's my thing that I hold when I'm working.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and thank you, Robert. Thank you, Bob, for being my guest this week. I really appreciate you sharing your story with me and with everyone. If you're liking this podcast or YouTube or however you're watching it, if you could do me a favor, it'd be really nice. If you could like and subscribe, maybe write a comment if you like it. What that does is it feeds this little monster called the algorithm monster, and it actually helps other people find this podcast. So if you're finding it helpful, finding it useful, or enjoying it, I would really appreciate that. Also, immense amounts of wine was consumed with myself and the lovely girls at 180 Sisterhood. If you tune into episode 11, part 1 and part 2, Trish Rainoni is part of 180 Sisterhood Productions. We had a lot of wine and we designed some merchandise. So link in my bio if you want to get some merchandise. It's there's only one. It's a t-shirt and a sweater that says Trish's favorite quote of mine, "Don't be a garbage person." Because don't be a garbage person. Why would you want to hang out with anyone who's garbage, especially in the film industry? So it's the best advice I could ever give you. Now you can wear it on your chest. So link in my bio. All proceeds are going to the Get Real movement, which helps educate workplaces, especially healthcare workplaces, healthcare clinics, about LGBTQ plus two-spirit openness and inclusiveness in the workplace. So would appreciate that. And remember, don't be a garbage person. I hope you'll tune in next week for another episode of Second Act Actors. Bye.